Hello everybody and welcome back to Zombie Army 4. In this video we're going to be doing part 3 of Zombie Zoo, chapter 1 on Brutal Nightmare difficulty. Now in this section of the chapter it's actually fought what I find to be one of the more tighter locations on the map. So there's going to be a lot of things happening all at once and I won't be able to commentate a play-by-play, kind of like what I've done with the first two parts. But I will do the best I can to talk about some of the more important aspects of this section as we go along with the guide. Also, if you're noticing at the beginning of this part that the heavy weapons on the ground are not in the same locations they were when we ended part 2, that's because I actually went back and re-recorded this part after I had made the changes to the weapon setup that I talked about in part 2, and I did that during a different run. So parts 2 and 3 were not filmed back to back from each other. But don't worry, there are no new changes to the build as of right now. Here you can see we're still on Zombie Zoo on Brutal Nightmare. Here's the build. Now let's get into the guide. Okay, here we are roughly where we left off at the end of part 2. And the first thing you're going to want to do is run into the second area and start picking the heavy weapons up off the ground. Then you're going to run them over to this entrance and drop them just inside the doorway. Just be careful not to get too close to or cross the junk you see in the center of this corridor. Otherwise you will trigger the fog barrier in this doorway and you won't be able to go back and forth to get the rest of the weapons. Now if you're wondering if this is a bit excessive, dragging this many heavy weapons across, in Brutal Nightmare, there's no such thing as too excessive, especially when you're playing solo. This is actually a very good tactic for ammo conservation. And it's something you need to think about when you play each chapter on Brutal Nightmare, like where all the ammo crates are on each map, what they actually refill, and your plans to replenish or conserve your ammo when refilling at a crate isn't available. So right here, this machine gun actually fell in a spot where I couldn't pick it up. So that's kind of a bummer, but we are picking up the third and final flamethrower right here. Now at the last heavy weapon, we're going to run across into area 3. And we're going to stage the first flamethrower on this walkway right here. Now we're going to run back and get flamethrowers 2 and 3. And stage them directly next to the first one. We're going to be using all 3 of these flamethrowers to deal with the initial wave of zombies that spawn in at the start. And this way, when the first one becomes empty, the next one's lying on the ground ready to be picked up and available for use. Now at that's done, we're going to run back and start grabbing the heavy machine guns. And I like to come to the left hand side over here and stage them directly behind this concession stand. We're not going to be using these till later on, and I find that this spot makes them easily accessible for when I need them. This is also really the only point of cover on this section of the map. So I like to duck back behind here every once in a while when I need to drop a divine bolt and do some healing. Now we're going to run back in with the third machine gun. I'm actually going to stage it at the entrance of this corridor. So if for any reason I happen to get pushed back into this narrow area, I have a tool to help me escape. Now we're going to run about halfway down the walkway to trigger the fog barrier and start the zombies to spawn in. The first wave we're going to get is a horde of regular zombies rising from the field on our left and right hand side, ready to hop the fence and get on the walkway. Here you see me starting out with the crossbow because I want to reset it so my next shot is a divine bolt, just in case I need some quick healing at the start. But there is a rifle ammo crate in this area, so using the crossbow a lot isn't exactly a problem for my ammo. Now we see the yellow sparkles where I got my divine bolt. So I pick up the first flamethrower, and the way you want to use these is you want to put the small circle of that reticle on the zombies' heads. You want to use short to medium bursts rather than hold down the trigger. And you want to sweep the fire from left to right and vice versa. What this does is it allows you to get the initial burn on the zombies as they're hopping the fence, because if you aim too low, the fencing will actually block the fire and you won't get that initial burn. Also, it staggers the zombies and it keeps them confined to this walkway rather than charging towards you. Now, once you pick up the third flamethrower, as you're sweeping, you also want to be looking toward your left and right sides for the next set that are going to spawn in, just in case the game does not give you the audio cue, as it's done that to me a couple times. And the next set that's going to spawn in is you're going to get 4 necromancers and a suicide general. So you're going to get 3 on one side and 2 on the other, and it's completely random as to what each side is actually going to spawn in as. Just know that I like to clear the left hand side first, since that's the side that holds my machine guns and my safe area, just in case I need some healing. Alright, now the officers are spawning in, so you drop the flamethrower, and I want to go ahead and start clearing this out with the Webley. Now, just remember, once you actually clear your side, be sure to shoot their corpses and get rid of them, so the necromancer on the other side does not resurrect them, because that causes a much bigger problem that you don't need when doing this fight in such a tight space. So now that my left hand side is clear, I run to the picnic table side and I start taking out the necromancers that are there. Now the next spawn is going to be 1 necromancer and 3 suicide generals. You're also going to get a flamethrower heavy that comes charging up the walkway ready to burn you. And your regular zombies also turn into armored giants, water grunts, and the green spitter types. Here I'm just kind of ducking back behind my cover for some quick heals. And the 2 suicide generals to my front are being kind of stubborn about showing me their hearts. I did happen to knock them back with that divine bolt, but I failed the stomp, so I had to run back. That didn't work out so well. Here I just dropped a melee for some quick heals, and now I'm going to run away because the flamer is showing up. Here we're going to use the Sten with the super headshot rounds to make quick work of him. And now I'm going to throw a incendiary grenade in this direction because it has a lure on it, and I want to lure the zombies away. That way I can run across to the other side to deal with these officers. Here I've got some poor accuracy, but I do drop the necromancer, do a takedown on this suicide general, and I stomp the necromancer. And that right there is the last necromancer, so you don't have to worry about getting rid of the corpses anymore. Now I'm just going to throw a quick grenade to clear a path. That way I can safely run across to the other side and avoid the suiciders that the generals are continuing to spawn in. Here was my first opportunity to get a heart shot, and I do happen to get 1 suicide general, but then I get spit on, and you see how much that slows you down. You want to avoid that as much as possible, because you can't really afford to be slowed down when you're doing this in such a tight area. Here I take a risk because that remaining suicide general was spawning suiciders behind me, so I had no choice but to run into that group and take a few swipes. I did have my melee, so I did get some heals, but I did fail to find the corpse to stomp. So right now I'm just going to use the crossbow and try to kill as many of these spitters as I possibly can, since they are being quite annoying at this point. Now I've kind of cleared like a small gap, and I'm going to try and run across, and I get the takedown on the final suicide general. Now that the officers are taken care of, things have kind of calmed down a bit. You want to grab the heavy machine guns at this point. I did start shooting an armored giant, but I correct myself, because what you want to do actually is focus on clearing out the green spitters, and you can kill the remaining water grunts with the heavy machine gun. And what this does is it allows you to build up your takedown ability, so you can switch to the Sten and do the takedown on the armored giants. That way you get a little bit of your ammo back for your secondary. Since we do have a ammo crate here to refill our crossbow, and the officers we killed dropped us an abundance of pistol ammo. Doing the takedown with our Sten will allow us to get our ammo replenished for our secondary. So this is actually the other method of ammo replenishment. Now you see me hold my Sten. And if you're new to the game, the way the takedown ability works is when you do a takedown, it does give you a little bit of health, but it also gives you a little bit of ammo back for the weapon you're holding. That's why you have to weapon swap before you do the takedown. Now I've also picked up the flamethrower from the flamethrower heavy that I killed. And using this isn't exactly very effective against water grunts, since they don't exactly set on fire very easily. They mostly just kind of dry out, and you can see the steam coming off of their bodies. But what it does do is it does actually stop the spitters from spitting at you for a while, because they can't do that while they're technically burning. Now I'm just looking for a gap to get out of that area so I can run back behind cover, grab some quick heals, and grab my other machine guns so we can take care of the remainder green spitters and the rest of the grunts that are still on the field. Right now that the ammo is done in the heavy machine gun, I back off to avoid getting spit on. I switch to the Sten, and I do one more takedown on this final armored giant, just to replenish some of its ammo. Now I'm going to pull out the Webley, and I'm going to make quick work of the remainder grunts in this area. Since the officers did drop us an abundance of pistol ammo, I'm not exactly worried about using my pistol here. And now you know that this section is complete when you see this medic zombie running up the path. Once you take him out, we are officially done. So right now we're going to use a med kit to heal, and we're going to pick up this med kit from the corpse I stomped off the ground when the game lets me. Now we're just going to go into reloading and replenishing our ammo back to full. You also want to pick up the 2 grenades that are lying on the ground behind the sandbags. And since we didn't use that machine gun in the corridor, we're actually going to pick that up and take that with us to the next area. And with all that being said, we are officially done. I want to thank you all for watching, and I will see you in the next video.